Welcome to Political Beatdown. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by Michael Cohen. We've got a lot to discuss. Number one, the East Wing is totally gone, been utterly demolished, no longer exists. Yes, the East Wing of the White House is gone. This, as we are in a government shutdown right now, as Americans have their health care being ripped away. But it's okay, Cohen, because Donald Trump's top priority is building the ballroom, which also went up from $200 million as a cost to now $300 million. But Donald Trump says, don't worry, taxpayers are not going to be responsible for any of it. What I find curious also,
don't poo-poo the big, beautiful ballroom. It's another BBB. You have the big, beautiful bill. Now you have the big, beautiful ballroom.
You know, it's also, if you looked at those numbers, when Donald Trump wants the DOJ to pay him $250 million for his pain and suffering.
$230. Don't over-exaggerate.
What do you think it'll be by next week, Cohen? Starts at $230, but
well, it's just a penalty.
The number seems awfully. He says it's going to go to charity, but doesn't the number sound awfully close to what he claims the ballroom is going to cost as well? Right around that same number. And you know the way he thinks. Also, now he says the ballroom is going to be $300 million. He said he wasn't going to touch the East Wing at all. He's demolished the East Wing. So Caroline Leavitt said, though, the ballroom is really his top priority right now. Here, play this clip.
Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you.
In addition to the ballroom and the Rose Garden
I'm going
patio,
into the back. Sorry. Go ahead.
In addition to the ballroom and the Rose Garden patio, is the president looking at any other renovations or significant kind of projects here at the White House?
Not to my knowledge, no. But he's a builder at heart, clearly, and so his heart and his mind is always churning about how to improve things here on the White House grounds. But at this moment in time, of course, the ballroom is really the president's main priority. Kristen.
Next clip I want to show you, Cohen. A reporter says on the ballroom, first Trump said it was $200 million. Now he's saying it's $300 million. Why is it going up so much? Here, play this clip.
Danny.
Thanks, Caroline. Back to the ballroom, I'm afraid. I just wanted to ask, because in July, the White House said that it would cost $200 million. Yesterday, the president said $300 million. Is $300 million now the operative figure, and why did it go up by so much?
$300 million is the figure, and again, it's not going to cost the taxpayers a dime. So we look forward to this project continuing, and we will continue to keep everyone apprised on it. Perhaps the president will even bring you all out to see it one day at the appropriate time.
Perhaps you'll get to see it one day, Mr. Cohen. One more clip. Perhaps one day we will show you the ball.
We will allow the peasants within which to roam our incredible, big, beautiful ballroom.
Perhaps one day, if you're lucky, we will show
And while you're there, we will allow you to eat cake.
Cohen. Then over here, the reporter says, but okay, you're saying that the taxpayers aren't going to pay for it, but like, you've lied before, because didn't you initially say that the project wouldn't interfere with or touch the current structure? Here, play this clip.
Mary.
Thanks, Caroline. You two quick construction questions, if I can. You mentioned any construction project comes with changes. The president had initially said that this project wouldn't interfere with or touch the current structure. Now he says to do this properly, he realized that the East Wing had to be demolished. This is the people's house. Why not inform the public of that change and when it was decided that the East Wing would have to be demolished?
Look, again, with any construction project, changes come, and we have informed all of you. We've been keeping you apprised of this project. We've shown you the renderings, and if you look at the renderings, it's very clear the East Wing was going to be modernized. Instead, in fact, I said that in the briefing when we initially introduced this plan to all of you and to the public.
But modernized and tearing down are two different things.
Well, again, the plans changed when the president heard counsel from the architects and the construction companies who said that in order for this East Wing to be modern and beautiful for many, many years to come, for it to be a truly strong and stable structure, this phase one that we're now in was necessary. And the president wants to do right by the people's house. And so that's exactly what he's doing. It's going to be, again, like I said, much more stable, strong, secure, and more beautiful than ever once it's complete.
What do you mean strong and secure? The building has lasted for 200 years. Whether it's going to fly away, right? All of a sudden, it's like This is like
Strong,
what's gonna happen,
powerful.
right? It's going to be powerful and strong. I mean, this is so insane. Somewhere along the line, they forget the fact it is the people's house, as the journalist said. This isn't Mar-a-Lago. If he wants to go ahead and he wants to tear down something, knock yourself out. It's his property. You do what you want on your property, completely ignoring the fact that that structure, that property belongs to the American people, not to the president, not to the vice president, not to Congress, but to the American people. It is a symbol. I can't believe, yeah, he wasn't joking when he said that the new big, beautiful ballroom isn't going to attach itself to the structure. It's not any longer. He tore the fucking structure down. So it's not attached to anything. It's attached to a different structure, a different part of the building. This is so nonsensical. Why not make the ballroom start 10 feet, say, south of the wall, and then make a little connecting structure so that you actually never have to go ahead and leave the physical building. You could walk right through 10 feet or something. But why tear down the structure? I mean, to me, I just don't understand it.
It is an act of desecration. I think it's an act of hatred, actually, against our country. I really do. I mean, I think he accelerated. I wrote this in my Substack today. I mean, I think he accelerated the plans and made it even more horrific after the No Kings protest. Oh, you're going to protest? I said I was just going to build this way. Rip the whole thing down. Because as Caroline Levitt goes, just like any construction project. First off, no. In any construction project, if you are going to make, this more than anyone, Cohen, a material alteration on if I wanted to build one of those units in the, what's it called if you build like a unit in the back of an ADU, an alternative, if I wanted to build like an alternative dwelling unit in my backyard right now, that was 200 square feet in my backyard, I would have to go.
That's right. That is actually on a base that has electricity and running water. You have to go for permits. This isn't like a shed. This isn't. This is what's called a structure. And anytime that you're putting, even on your own property, a structure, especially if it has electricity, running water, and so on, has to be compliant to a whole slew of rules and regulations. I get it here, right? This is, of course, the White House, which makes it even more grotesque. It's more grotesque that somebody in their infinite, I don't care if he's the greatest builder on the planet, this is not your property. It's like me coming to your house tomorrow, Ben, with a backhoe and starting to tear down the east wing of your estate simply so that I can now put up a big, beautiful ballroom or one of those outside structures. This is what bothers me the most is I'm not even sure if there are actual plans for the big, beautiful ballroom. I know they have renderings, but do they actually have architectural plans? And if in fact they do, well, that's an interior rendering. All right. What my big concern is that we don't even have the actual plans by an architect in order to build this. So why rip down the structure? How are you going to start to build if in fact that you don't have these plans? Who's the contractor that's going to be doing it? The American people have a right to know because it's our property. It's our house.
Exactly. And at the very least, like, let's just start with the bare minimum. There should be disclosure, right? I mean, we should know who are all the people who are funding this? How much have they contributed? We should know, what do the plans look like? We should know, she mentions phase one. How many phases are this? What's contained in phase one? We should be able to comment, oh, wait a minute. The plan was to rip the whole east wing down, not a portion, after first saying it wasn't even going to be a portion. These are things that not just in a democracy, but in any building project, it's known. And so I just wanted to point that out, because when Caroline Levitt says, as everybody knows in a construction project, no. Okay, Caroline Levitt, that's not the way any construction project works at all. That's how criminal projects work.
By the way, nor is it an answer to the question that was posed to her.
Exactly. So then the question is, is what you're saying, this was a good question, this really good question. So under your theory, Caroline, because this was a demolition versus a vertical structure at first, and now it's going to be vertical, your claim is that the National Planning Commission can't get involved in any decision to destroy anything in DC? So can the president destroy the Lincoln Monument Memorial, go to the Washington Monument? Can they destroy Jefferson? Under your theory, can the whole White House be destroyed? And Caroline Levitt basically says, that's the legal opinion that we have. We can destroy anything in Washington. Here, play this clip.
Okay.
So the White House has explained that the reason you didn't submit construction plans to the NCPC is because that commission, along with others, don't have oversight over demolitions, but only over construction. And so far, you haven't built anything. So can you help us understand, can the president tear down anything he wants without oversight? Can he demolish this building or, say, the Jefferson Memorial?
So it's not the president who came up with that legal opinion himself. That's a legal opinion that's been held by the NCPC for many years. It's written, so we can get you that background and that research if you wish to include it in your reporting, because it is very important. They have ruled consistently. Their general counsel has said, when it comes to phase one of this project, the tearing down of the current East Wing structure, a submission is not required legally for that. Only for vertical construction will a submission be required, and that's a legal opinion from them, and we are following that legal opinion. And again, I would just add, can any president do such a thing to the White House grounds? There have been many presidents in the past who have made their mark on this beautiful White House complex. This briefing room, as you all know, was not once a briefing room. It was a swimming pool. There have been presidents who have completely torn down the executive mansion. If you look at what President Truman did, some of the photos of the construction project that took place in those years, I think sitting here today, we're all grateful for those efforts and the modifications that happened at that time. And again, in due time, the East Wing is going to be more beautiful and modern than ever before. And in addition, there will be a big, beautiful ballroom that can hold big parties and state visits for generations to come.
So it sounds like the answer is yes, he can tear down whatever he wants. And then secondly, I mean,
that's not what we're saying. That's a legal opinion that's been held for many years.
And interpreting it.
No, it's something that presidents have done for years and years. In fact, I have some photos here. Thank you, Pat, to show you the construction that's taken place on the White House grounds. This is the construction of the West Wing in 1902. Look at this, the construction of the West Terrace in 1902. These images look quite similar to what you and the American people are seeing today, the construction of the East Terrace as well. You look at the construction of the West Wing expansion in 1934. So look, this is a legal opinion that's been held for many years.
1902. 1934. By the way, here's the craziest part. When she says that there were things that were done by other presidents, that's true. They put in a swimming pool. Sure. Obama put in a basketball court. Added it. Did not knock anything down. He took an area, turned it into a basketball court. Oh, yeah. Then, of course, there was the theater. They took a room and they turned it into a theater. How about the bowling alley, the famous bowling alley? Sure, you added it. You took a space and you turned it into a bowling. You didn't knock down anything. You didn't demolish an entire wing of the White House. She's comparing apples to oranges. The problem is she makes it so easy for me to want to give her the two-finger salute every single time we come on to the Political Beatdown episode. And it's hard for me not to, because the stupidity that emanates from that gaping anus under her nose, it's astonishing. There's that old expression that her ass must be jealous of the shit that comes out of her mouth. It bothers me so much that you have all of this press lining in there and turning around and accepting nothing but lies. You ask a very poignant, straightforward question. Hey, can the president knock down anything that he wants? It's not our opinion. It's the opinion of the court. Oh, yeah, it was done in 1902. Seriously? Nobody
And
has
then
ever
she
thought
brings up things where things were built and
added.
then not torn down, and also where Congress was involved and appropriated the funds, where the national planning commissions were involved in these processes. Not
Hey,
ever in
Ben,
history, other than when
Yeah.
the British burned the White House down, right?
Hey, Ben, I got to ask you something because I'm a builder myself. I've been around, obviously, Trump for a decade and a half, not to mention builder on my own. We're now in October, the end of October, very soon to be in November. They literally just finished demolishing the East Wing. Now, of course, they're going to spend a couple of days removing all of the debris. Then they're going to have to insulate the other walls for, of course, what comes after. And I think we should be asking Caroline Levitt. Like, if I was allowed there in the briefing room, Caroline, question for you. Over here, please. Here. What season comes after spring? Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's called winter. And you know what comes with winter, Caroline? Do we know? Come on. Yeah, cold weather. Good, good. How about a little more? Come on. Yes, snow. So here's my question for you. When are you going to start the construction? Can anybody turn around and maybe go onto the website and see the architectural plans? Is it possible that we can actually see the final renderings in advance of one day being invited by, I don't know, Fox News or Hannity or Laura Ingraham in order to get a tour? Maybe he'll have Caroline Levitt walk there with a video camera. Hi, I'm Caroline Levitt, and this is your ballroom, the big, beautiful ballroom. We really want to show the American people because we want you to enjoy it as much as we do, right? How long is it going to take? What's the actual expenses? Who's doing what as far as the construction? Were there actual bids put out on this, or was it just handed to one individual? There's so much question. There's so many questions that I have, and I haven't even touched the tip of the iceberg yet. I just want to know the facts. The same way that if I was looking at a project, that I would be looking to see who, what, when, where, and why, and how much. That's all that I want to know. All right. It's really not that difficult. And if in fact that you had renderings, legitimate CAD renderings on this thing, by the way, who's going to be putting in? Is it going to be ADA compliant? Where's the ADA compliance going to be? Blah, 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 blah. By the way, are you going to put a throne somewhere in here too? Because one thing we know is that Trump really likes when he goes to, for example, the Middle East. He likes when he goes into these massive ballrooms because, everything in Qatar and Saudi in the Middle East is huge. It's just massive, filled with gold. And of course, the king has, oh, there you go. The king has, a certain look. He has his own area that he sits, very reminiscent of, say, the French or the English, where the king sat in a special area that was designated specifically for him, but blah, 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 blah. But are we going to get a chance to see this? Or
but also just even the concept of like, what are we going to do? Let's build a ballroom, everybody. Like, we're going to do tea parties. Like, we need a ballroom. We're going to throw magnificent balls. I mean, like, what are we talking about? We're in 2020.
Barron needs a place to play soccer.
You know what I thought we were missing in this country? The most magnificent balls, Michael Cohen. I want to see people show up in there. They're beautiful.
And nobody has more magnificent balls than me. Nobody on the planet has better balls than me. My balls are the biggest and the most beautiful.
20 million Americans are having their health care ripped away as the MAGA Republicans refuse to extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies. Donald Trump gives $40 billion to Argentina and then ups the ante and goes, okay, here's what we're going to do. Because Trump's pissed at our cattle ranchers here because he thinks that cattle ranchers control the price of beef. So he thinks that there's not a market that has a lot of reasons why the market fluctuates. he blames the kind of small and medium-sized businesses here as being the reason that beef prices are high. So he's like, I'm going to screw the cattle ranchers and up the ante in Argentina now, and I'm going to have Argentina now give us the beef to undercut the American beef market. So he's screwing over the soybean farmers. He's screwing over the ranchers. He's screwing over construction workers. He's screwing over manufacturers. The supplies are incredibly expensive. He's screwing over their businesses. He's ripping away people's healthcare right now. The tariffs against the world are screwing over all of these businesses. And he goes, ballroom. I'm going to rip the east side. My priority is I'm going to rip the east side, the east wing, and I'm going to build such a ball. The parties are going to be
I don't mind that he's building a ballroom. I don't care. Build it. Did you really need to tear down the east wing within which to do it? That's the part that I'm so offended by. What was the point to tear the structure down? Just put the structure 10 feet south of the wall of the east wing wall. Just
going to do a fashion show. we're going to do the most magnificent.
You know what they're going to have in there?
In the White
you know
House.
what they're going to have in there? They're going to have like UFC fights. That's what they're going to have. They're going to have private UFC fights where the top, say, 1,000 donors will be able to watch it. They'll end up live streaming it on a pay-per-view event. But don't worry, because all of America's we're going to all benefit. You're all going to benefit. All right. We're all going to share equally in the pay-per-view. So basically, you'll get about 8 cents, right? After they take their cut and so on. And you're lucky if it'll be 8 cents.
I'm just thinking about Cohen, the Manosphere podcast, right? Because everyone wanted, they were like, so like, Ben, are you like the left's Joe Rogan? I'm like, no, I'm not the left's Joe Rogan. I said, Rogan's a weirdo and that whole world's a weirdo. But now they're going to have to justify this one. All right, guys, here's what we got for you. All right, here what we're doing. The greatest fashion shows imaginable, the greatest ballroom that you will ever see. I just want you to think, lovely gowns. You're going to get to wear these magnificent tuxedos. Yeah, Manosphere. I'm watching this, Cohen, and I'm thinking there's a reason why with Gen Z, I don't know if you saw this stat, Trump was +5 with Gen Z on all of the polling data on average right after the election. +5. That's a good number. That same poll has him at -39 amongst 18 to 29-year-olds. -39. Now, that's not within a margin of error, Cohen. That is an overwhelming repudiation by young people saying, you defrauded us. Why are you building ballrooms while you've made our lives far more miserable? I thought that you were going to fix all of these things. You promised on day one that you were going to give us a golden age. Instead, all you did was a golden.
It's funny you say that because I spoke to Adam Mockler today. Right, I'm preparing him, because we're doing a podcast, one of my Mea Culpa podcasts. That one will probably come out. It's going to come out on Monday, and we just started talking before we do the interview. And interestingly enough, thank you for that, Jeremy. One of the interesting things is his comment, obviously being a Gen Zer, is right on par with what you're saying, Ben. Gen Z is really angry. They're really angry because they thought that America was going to be better. It was going to give them more opportunity than what they thought that they had under the Biden administration. Meanwhile, they're losing jobs at record rates. They're unable to obtain jobs. Why? Because they don't have the experience of a person with years above them who actually has, let's say, some experience in that field. And so they're finding themselves basically without a market. They have a very limited job market. Now, of course, there are always those that do, but for the most part, Gen Z is finding themselves with no place to go and no job opportunities. And you know what? According to Mockler, they're really freaking pissed. But here's what I said to Adam when we were talking about, you know what? Ben and I talk about this all the time, the acronym FAFO. Fuck around, find out. And that's exactly what's going on right now. By the way, Same thing could be said for our soy farmers. The same idiots who went ahead and painted the roofs of their barns that turned around and said Trump 2024, that came out in droves in order to vote for him. Oh yeah, the same as the cattle farmers, the ranchers who went ahead and posted, Trump 2024 on the side of their beef as they were going to slaughter. All right, fuck around, find out. Now what do you want? What did you think was going to happen? How many times did I turn around and tell you what was going to happen? And not because I'm clairvoyant, I'm not Nostradamus, because Trump himself said so. Read Project 2025. Everything in that manifesto is being done day in and day out, day in and day out. So why did you think he wasn't telling, Trump is just being Trump. Trump is just being Trump. No. When he says he's going to do something, this guy doesn't stop until he accomplishes it. And I don't know why people just refuse to understand this.
Or goes bankrupt when people stand up to him and say no. I mean, his history also is when he huffs and he puffs and people have stood up to him in the past. That to me is where you've seen, like, why has this guy gone bankrupt so many times? Like, over and over and over again, this casino, that casino, this casino, you restructure the casinos, it goes bankrupt again. All of those products and shenanigans that he rolled out over the last 30 years, from the stakes to the planes to the this and the that to the universities, like, how are all of these things such abject failures? And what you see in his pathology is what we're actually seeing with the shutdown right now, right? Which is, there's a way to solve problems as they're metastasizing to stop the spread early, right? There's a way to deal with things responsibly, which is difficult, but you can exercise humility and be humbled and try to address problems. And oftentimes that requires you taking responsibility for mistakes that you've made or blind spots that you've had, and work with the other side to figure it out. Maybe if your business is failing, you have to acknowledge it and then speak to a lender, try to restructure terms and figure out solutions, or ask for forbearance, or maybe you need to change methodologies if it's not working. Yeah. That's not how Trump did business. It was always, I'm right, here's how I do it. And now we're seeing the same thing with the government shutdown. He can be, which he's causing, he can be given all the data in the world. No, Donald, this is a real issue. Americans are going to be losing their health care. No one can afford these subsidies. Like, no one can afford them. It's going to cost on average, what was the last data that I saw? Forget which state it was.
One minimum is 159% increase. Minimum is 159% increase.
The data was in Colorado. Yeah. Minimum in Pennsylvania was 103%. Colorado, the number, Cohen, was $24,000 more a year on average. $24,000.
How many of those idiots voted for him? How many of these, how about this one? One of my favorite pictures is this one that says Latinos or Cubans for Trump. Meanwhile, the guy who's holding that sign is actually right now in an ICE detention facility awaiting deportation. If that is not the ultimate in irony, I don't know what is. There you are. And he says, whoa, why are you doing this? Why are you coming after me? I voted for the guy. Well, you're illegal. You're illegal. Well, he goes, but I voted. Everybody in my family voted for him. They're like, yeah, well, thank you. But as they say, tough shit.
Yeah, you ask, but I've seen those interviews. They go into Little Havana in Miami, and they'll say, so what do you think now that you've seen what he's doing with temporary protected status? It's revoked it for Venezuelans, Cubans, Haitians, you name it. What do you think? They go, well, I don't like his immigration policy, but there's other things about him that I like. And it's like, well, what do you like? Okay. And then they're like, well, I don't like this woke stuff. I like that he, it's like, whoa, pull back. The immigration part is your life, like your existence. So don't you think, what was it called? Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Like
Mhm.
in
Yeah,
your hierarchy of needs, shouldn't the first one be surviving, existing, being able to live? Like, you realize their policies view you as an illegal thing, not even as a human being in our country. So I don't know how you've gone to the luxury of, and I say that sarcastically, it's not a luxury, but how you get to the now you're pontificating on poo-poo and pee-pee in bathrooms, and oh my God, do you know the bathrooms? Do you know that transgender people are using the bathroom? When I poop, it's got to be like, don't you think that, I don't know, that issue, which you are using to beat down on marginalized communities and misrepresenting, don't you think we got to deal with the essence of what a government is? And let's talk more about that when we come back from our first break, because the purpose of a government is not to inflict pain and invade and harm and be used as a tool of corruption. Like, it should help. Like, we should all have health care. You watching this, if you live in America, the same way in other countries, the same way in Argentina, who we're bailing out. They've got universal health care in Argentina. There should be health care for all Americans. And it should be very cheap, or it should be, in my view, free. There should be education. There should be an ability for people to afford homes and pay their rent and not live paycheck to paycheck if they've got a job. Things should be affordable. Let's deal with those things first. And then if you want to, I'm happy to debate you and argue with you if you think, these other things, which I think are like offensive and crazy. But let's start there. Cohen, we got a first break.
Yes.
We're talking about a lot. When we come back, so much more to discuss. A reminder, subscribe to the Mea Culpa audio podcast. You saw that before. Subscribe to our YouTube channel right here. Subscribe to Michael Cohen's YouTube channel at The Michael Cohen Show. Subscribe to Michael Cohen's Substack. Michael Cohen gives a lot of great articles to the Midas Touch Network, which we're happy to amplify.
Thank you for that.
And everybody, we'll be right back after our first quick break of the show.
You know that feeling when you throw on a t-shirt that actually fits right? Not too tight, not too baggy, just clean, easy, confident. That's what I got the first time I put on True Classic tee. The guys at True Classic, they started with one simple idea: make premium, comfortable clothes that actually work for real people. And clearly, they nailed it. With over 25 million shirts sold to 5 million customers. I'm one of them. And more than 200,000 five-star reviews. People don't fake numbers like that. So for me, True Classic isn't about fashion. It's about function. The shirts fit where they should. They move with you and they hold through real life, flights, studio days, even those nights when you fall asleep reading the news. The fabric's soft, really soft, and it keeps its shape. And you know what? It doesn't scream, try hard. It just looks good. And that's the thing. You don't have to choose between comfort and confidence. With True Classic, you get both. You can find them at Amazon, Target, Costco, and Sam's Club, or just head straight to trueclassic.com/beat to check them out. That's trueclassic.com/beat. Upgrade your everyday, feel better in what you wear, and actually enjoy putting on a t-shirt again. Go now. A close friend of mine passed away unexpectedly last year. Really, just a great guy. Been a friend of mine since we were like 11. Took care of everyone but himself. His family, they were left scrambling to figure out bills, the house, everything. And watching that unfold, it hit me hard. It reminded me how fast life changes and how few of us are actually prepared for it. And that's why I looked into Ethos, because getting life insurance, it shouldn't feel like a second job. Ethos makes it fast and simple to protect your family's future in minutes, not months. No doctor visits, no mountains of paperwork. Just answer a few quick health questions online and you get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. You can get same-day coverage for up to $3 million. And some policies cost as little as $2 a day, billed monthly. More than 3 million families have actually trusted Ethos. And honestly, it's easy to see why. It's peace of mind that you can actually afford. So don't wait until it's too late. Protect your family with life insurance through Ethos. And get your free quote at ethos.com/beatdown. That's ethos, ethos.com/beatdown. Application times may vary. Rates may vary. Sample rate for a 10-year term life policy for a 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male may vary. Yeah, and may vary. Got to do it.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, Cohen.
Especially now that you have a newborn.
Yep.
Make sure you have life insurance. Very important.
Very, very, very important. All right, let's go through some more things. You heard about the pardon of CZ, the Binance billionaire founder who pled guilty to a money laundering scheme involving, the money was being funneled to.
So the money was being used by they were funneling money from terrorists, from
the program was being right. It was being without oversight.
Finance. Yeah. That's right. Literally, Janet Yellen, along with the FBI, along with Merrick Garland, brought this. Do you know, by the way, Ben, how much restitution this guy from Binance, what's his last name? Zhao?
CZ Xingbing Zhao.
Yeah. Do you know how much money the restitution was?
I do. $4 billion.
$4 billion. Do you know what happens, political beatdown brigaders, to that $4 billion when in restitution that's owed to the American people when you receive a pardon? Do you know what happens to it? It becomes zero, wiped out, as if it never happened. You know, you start looking at all these folks that received pardons so far. It's like, what, $10 billion? $10 billion of restitution that was owed back to the American people that simply vanished. You know, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't know how you feel, but Ben, you and I, when we first started Political Beatdown a while ago now, you remember how we turned around and we used to say that every day is like a fire hose of horse shit, and it's just going to keep coming at you day in and day out, day in and day out. The question here is not whether or not Zhao ended up is justified in receiving the pardon. Has nothing to do with justification or right or wrong. It basically has to do with who did they get to, who knows somebody who has the proper phone number within which to make the request, and what's the trade-off? Because that's what's going on. That's what's going on.
And this one is an easy one, right? Because CZ was one of the first and biggest investors, which seems like it's a good investment for CZ if he saves $4 billion in World Liberty Financial. World Liberty Financial probably sounds familiar to everybody because that's owned by the Trump family and the Witkoff family. Trump's envoy's kids. I don't think Steve Witkoff fully divested like he said he was going to, at least as of a month ago. He said, I'm getting to it. Okay. Trump's kids. And that's the fund also that Pakistan used to send its money. A lot of Trump's wealth comes from World Liberty Financial and their stable coin, as it's called, being brought to the public markets. And CZ was integral to all of, to all of that. I mean, that's what it's kind of it's an obvious one right there. And also it should be noted, that the pardon process has never been used this way, other than by a Donald Trump on an offense of this scale and this area. I mean, this type of offense. This isn't a low-level thing. It's $4 billion.
Remember how freaked out everybody was when Bill Clinton pardoned Mark Rich? Were you even alive back then? Because you're so much younger than me, Ben.
Yeah,
remember the Mark Rich pardon?
I was alive in the 90s, yes.
All right, there you go. So I remember how freaked out and pissed off Republicans were that this is disgusting. This is the shadiest shit that they've ever seen, yada, yada. Ultimately, Mark Rich's pardon ended up getting negated because of the backlash. That in and of itself pales in comparison to what we're seeing going on right now.
Right. And then when they, what they come back with, they go, well, former President Biden pardoned Hunter Biden. And so let's just even if you embrace that and go, okay, sure, Biden lost the election, you all hated on that, and you all said that was criminal. So just even accept the framing of that. So the way you're going to address what you considered was corruption and criminality under Biden is to do the nuclear bomb version of that and do something a million times worse than what you claimed was bad. Like, just if you accept their argument, that's what you say. Well, that's going to be your crutch for everything. What's interesting about the Biden charge as well, though, is that the Supreme Court's going to be hearing this very case about whether somebody who suffers from drug addiction and takes out a firearm should be held guilty on a felony count for owning a firearm while potentially high, or even when the drugs are marijuana. And no one had really ever been prosecuted for that before. I think there was, one other example. And in the other example, Cohen, I think it was out of the Texas circuit. The case was dismissed against them. So the only viable case that was ever brought was a case against Hunter Biden on that topic. And what I find very interesting is that you have the Department of Justice basically saying that if you smoke marijuana and you have a gun, you could be a felon in possession of a firearm because you've smoked marijuana, which is, and we can go on a whole tangent there. In any event, go on to the next topic right here, which is ranchers. Suffering right now. Cattle industry, we're seeing lots of bankruptcies there taking place. American ranchers have been suffering for a lot of reasons. There have been massive consolidations, foreign consolidations, owning American cattle, basically, with these multinational corporations screwing over. And this has taken place not just recently, but over the course of decades, which was a major issue to ranchers. It's only accelerated and promoted by Donald Trump. Like, let's be clear. The antitrust style investigations to stop this from happening is what the Democrats wanted to do, to stop this foreign consolidation. And Republicans love this stuff. But in any event, the tariffs have made the input costs for the cattle ranchers go through the roof. It's already expensive now more than ever because the supplies they're buying, whether it's fertilizer, whether it's the underlying equipment, the factories, far more expensive. And now you add to it Donald Trump saying, basically threatening them to fix their prices, there's a market, which Trump would like there to be. Trump's like a communist. He doesn't want there to be markets. He wants to fix the prices, set floors, regardless of what that's going to do to inflation and what that's going to do to the consumer. But then Trump says, look, we're going to bring in Argentinian beef now as a retaliation to American ranchers. Trump believes making it so beef prices are high. So then our ranchers, they put out a statement and they're like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you have to let the market function. This is a great betrayal. And Caroline Leavitt was asked a question about our ranchers and our ranchers suffering. And the largest rancher professional association came out with a statement saying that Trump has betrayed the ranchers. So how do you think Caroline Leavitt addresses this? Well, of course, she has to blame Biden. Here, play this clip.
How will the Trump administration support those farmers?
Look, the president hears those concerns. He addressed them yesterday himself. President loves our ranchers, and our ranchers love our president. And in fact, the president did a lot for them in his first term here. They are struggling because of the many horrible policies of the previous administration. The president loves our ranchers, and he also loves American consumers, and he wants to do right by both. So the immediate solution to the problem of the rising cost of beef, the president wants to bring that down, is we have to increase our supply. And so that's what he's doing with respect to these imports.
Okay, now,
can you
one of
believe
the
this?
things I want everybody to focus in on there too, and I'll pass it over to you, Cohen. And this is why I report on some of the emails that Donald Trump sends his supporters. And it's a tactic of cult leaders to use the word love. Love. He loves you. He loves you. He loves farmers. Love, love, love. Do you love him? I love you. You love him? I love you. And it is part of a brainwashing technique that they use where, but we love you, so you must love me, while doing and it's a conduct of an abuser also, because Trump's an abuser, a lifelong abuser. He knows how to abuse people and mentally F with them. And so what he's doing there too, and the language they use is, but I love you. I love the consumer. Love, love, love. But your actions are showing hate. Your actions are showing the utmost hate. And it is something that whether you're Democrats or anybody in politics needs to take note of, right? Because, Cohen, what will Trump do? He'll show up on the campaign trail with the firefighters, give them cold pizza, tell them I love you, and then screw their unions. But
they're literally getting cut, but you do get an 8x10 photo with a thumbs up, right? And you could take that thumb and shove it up your ass because he's fucking them in every which way but loose. Plain and simple. You know, I'm so sick and tired of all of this political nicety. Where Trump is doing something good, absolutely, we should give him credit for it. But where things are wrong, like the things Ben and I are talking about now, from the let's talk about from the gerrymandering that's going on in order to basically fix the midterm elections, to the tearing down of the East Wing, to the continued government shutdown, to the lies emanating from the briefing room, to the blah, blah, blah. What he does wrong, you have every single right within which to be critical, but that's not allowed. That's not allowed in this administration. In this administration, they're just, it's treason.
Yeah. Now, I want to show you this this next clip right here. This is from, well, let's show what the rancher has to say, Jeremy, the Nebraska rancher. Let's play this clip of the Nebraska rancher if we got it.
Well, I don't think it's a good idea. I think probably what you've heard a lot today is we should just allow our markets to dictate the price of beef, and there's a lot of factors in that. I think most people out here have the view that the government should just be pretty limited and not kind of meddle in the free markets.
I'm going to read.
Because yes, you're describing communism.
Like, I mean, it's exactly what he's talking about.
You're describing communism. And if a Democratic president did anything that Donald Trump was doing, could you even imagine? But even the way he looked, that rancher is the way he's describing the process of his entire livelihood being destroyed. It would be like your house burning down. You know who the arsonist is, and you saying, no, look, my preference was that you didn't burn my house down. I understand there are arguments to be made upon why the house may not be to your liking. So I'm just going to have to ask you in the future, respectfully, can you not burn my house down on fire? Versus if it was a Democrat, it would be like, that's the arsonist. You're burning my house down. Or if it's a Democrat who was the firefighter, who was going to save another house, you'd have all the Republican ranchers. That's the arsonist. They're trying to burn my house down. They're trying to burn my house down. And that exists in this information battlefield that's out there, where it is so important that there's a corrosive, destroyed information battlefield. And the way I describe it a lot, Cohen and Beatdown Brigaders, is that in many ways in 2025 and leading up to it, really COVID accelerated this. AI then pushed it over the edge. In the Middle Ages, why you had the lords and the serf dynamic is that you had 98% of the population that was uneducated and didn't have information. Then you had the lords who were incredibly educated and had the best everything, but everybody else didn't even have access to information. Paradoxically now, with all the information that exists, it has eroded good information. So what's being consumed is the same as nothing. In fact, it's worse.
We're literally living in the time right now of an updated 2025 Marie Antoinette. That's really what we're doing. When you turn around and you talk about building a $300 million ballroom, but you're willing to take away SNAP, you're willing to take away food subsidies and programs from the people who are the most needy in our country, it is, to me, identical to a let them eat cake moment. All right.
Well,
By the way, that's not really the statement. It was really let them eat bread, but somehow it turned into let them eat cake. Either way, it is what it is. Why? Because cake was really cheap. All right. And that's what let them eat water and potatoes. All right. And you're not even going to get a full potato. You're only going to get a piece of it. They don't care. As long as they can fill their bellies to excess, they don't give a shit about you, about me, about Ben, about any of us. They only care about themselves. What more can I grab from the system? And they really don't believe that Trump is ever leaving. You know, think about this big, beautiful ballroom. How long is it going to take? I asked that question at the very beginning because I have a thought in my mind. If it's going to take, say, 3 years, is Donald Trump so magnanimous that he's willing to take the next 3 years to build out this ballroom for the next president? And I think we'll all acknowledge and say, no, right? He expects to be there yet again. He likes the way, for example, that people come in on Mohammed bin Salman's ballroom or Putin's ballroom or the Qatari prime minister's ballroom or the king of Dubai. It doesn't make, he likes that big, gigantic feel. And that's exactly what he wants. And I'm telling you, each and every one of you, this is wrong to the nth degree. And we must all continue to be enraged. We must talk about it. We must not become apathetic. The second we do that, we are doomed. Right now, we are behind the 8 ball. We need to get in front of the 8 ball. And how do you do that? You go to Midas Touch Network, you subscribe, you tell your friends, this is the only network where you are going to hear 24/7 of truth, of facts, and go and follow and subscribe and cross-pollinate with all of the platforms on Midas Touch Network. Make it 20 times bigger than Fox. Make it so that when we actually say something, it resonates with more than just the folks that are of like mind as we are. We need to get to the minds of those that, for whatever the reason, bought into this GOP bullshit. We need to get into their minds, and we need to turn around and explain to them, like this idiot rancher, like some of these idiot farmers, like some of these idiots who went ahead, voted for him, and now they're in deportation camps. We need to get to these folks, to all of them, and turn around and explain to them, you don't have health coverage now? Your kid doesn't have health coverage? You know why? Not because of us, because of them. They have the White House, they have the Senate, they have the House of Representatives. You've seen how they behave. Now it's time to come back. And we need to turn around, hold their hands, and guide them back into the Democratic Party so that we can at least have a legitimate tripartite system of government. We can put an end to this. We can have the investigations that we need to. And when you start listening to people like, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who, for whatever the reason, has somehow found her North Star, that she's the Republican that makes the most sense, well, you know that there's a real problem.
Here she is right here, Cohen. Here, play this clip of her and Tucker Carlson together. Here, play it.
Food prices are high, rent is high, home prices are ridiculously high, cars are high, auto insurance, home insurance, health insurance is insane. Energy prices are high. I can tell you that in my own electric bills. They're much more expensive than they were even a year ago.
And by the way, all she's describing there,
high.
She's just describing, like what you just said there were facts. I mean, that's true. I mean, if you've gotten your electric bill recently, if you've gone to the grocery store recently, if you've gone shopping, early to look at holidays,
if you're looking to buy a car, if you're looking to buy a house, if you're looking, whatever you're looking for, everything is higher today.
And not afford. Like it is at a level that's not affordable. If you were to increase insurance premiums by $1,000 a year, that would not be affordable for many people. If you went $1,000 more a year, we're talking about $24,000 more a year as a result of not extending these Affordable Care Act subsidies. And what this also shows, in my view, Cohen, though, a lot of the attention that's on these existential issues, it's being brought to the surface because Democrats are finally fighting back in this government shutdown. And they said no. They said no, we're not going along with it, finally. And when they've said no, at least what we're having here, and we could talk on another show about what could they be doing better, sure.
Mhm.
But what it's forced to happen is there's a microscope right now on healthcare, which we see as more and more questions are being asked of the MAGAs of what's going on here. They basically conclude by saying that they hate Obamacare, which is the truth, that they hate it. They don't like the Affordable Care Act. They don't like Medicaid. They don't like Medicare. They don't like it. They don't like Social Security. They don't like those programs. And they hate Obamacare. And Trump's always wanted to get rid of it. And the Affordable Care Act, for all of its problems, caused because Republicans try to gut it all the time, rather than make universal health care and make it better and improve the subsidies. There's so much that can be done. It's definitely already expensive, sure. But by and large, it's pretty popular among the American people, the same way Medicaid is. And so when you see Caroline Leavitt, and I'll just show this clip, saying Obamacare's the problem, actually, for most Americans, they say Obamacare does have some problems, but it isn't the problem. We should be able to fix it. And the way to fix it, most Americans feel, is making it look more like universal health care than less like universal health care. So I don't need to show the Caroline Leavitt clip. I've shown enough clips of her. Cohen, who are you going to give the two-finger salute to?
So obviously it would be just way too easy for me to give it to Caroline Leavitt. She deserves it every single day for regurgitating the lies and the misinformation, the disinformation, the malinformation coming from the Stephen Millers and the Russell Vaught's. I'll tell you who I truly believe deserve the two-finger salute, and that is the ICE agents that just the other day, as I wrote in my Substack, that you guys were phenomenal in and putting up one of the best thumbnails I've seen in a long time on it. The ICE agents that descended on Canal Street here in New York City. They literally abused people. They threw them to the ground. Generally, it's the smallest person in the area. It's not like they're going after the big guy to throw him on the ground. No, bullshit. They take somebody who opens their mouth who's like 5'2", and they throw them against the wall, and they start zip tying them, dragging them through the street because they're just a bunch of bullies. I can't freaking believe that they descended on Canal Street, which is what? A place that you go to buy a fake Rolex, a fake Louis Vuitton bag, a fake Hermes bag. It's not like people don't know that the stuff you buy on Canal Street from a guy, either it's on a table or on the floor on a blanket for $40 as opposed to a multi-$1,000 bag. Seriously? You think that you're defrauding anybody? Okay, you're not supposed to do it. I get it. But that's the criminality that they're talking about, honestly. And this is all done for show. And the worst part is that these ICE agents, they should know better. Just because somebody tells you, hey, go over there and punch that guy in the face, doesn't mean you should actually go over there and punch that guy in the face. They're absolutely just reckless with what they're doing. The entire system is all screwed up. I could not be sadder to watch what they did and what's going on now, even here in New York City. People are petrified. People have no idea. They took one guy, a black guy, and they thought he was Senegalese. He was not. In fact, he was born in Brooklyn Hospital, Kings County, where my father used to be chief of ENT in the 1970s. He goes, I'm a Brooklyn. I was born in Brooklyn. I live in the Bronx. They were like, shut the fuck up. And then they zip tie him. They turn around. They throw him up against the wall. Don't say anything. Don't speak. And then they start yelling at a girl who's videotaping it the entire time. Listen, then New Yorkers, because we don't give a shit, they all got together. They started a massive march and a protest. So good for them. They get the 2 thumbs up. But these ICE agents who act this way, that they're just ruining our country. They're just incapable of any form of humanity for whatever the reason, whatever their personal problems are. Go see a psychiatrist, but leave Americans and leave these individuals alone. And for that reason, they get, Ben, the 2-finger salute. Fuck you to these agents.
There you have it. Michael Cohen, always enjoy co-hosting the show with you and spending time with the Beatdown Brigaders. Everybody, make sure you subscribe to Michael Cohen's Substack. Just search Michael Cohen on Substack. Subscribe to his YouTube channel, Michael Cohen YouTube channel at The Michael Cohen Show. Subscribe to the Mea Culpa audio podcast. We've had some great guests on and can't wait to listen to you and Adam Mockler. I met Adam Mockler 2 years ago, and it's been an incredible journey with Mockler, and he's become a good friend of mine. And it's one of the things I take a lot of pride in at this network is helping young talent in any way that I can. And he's a superstar talent with or without me, but I'm glad that I could have been helpful in his career, and seeing him take off is a real point of pride.
Folks, as I said to you guys before, Midas Touch Network, grab one person. I'm asking each and every one of you for this week until we come back to you on Tuesday. Everyone, just get one person. Bring one person. And we're going to do this. We're going to get to 10 million like by tomorrow, and then 20 million the week after that, and keep growing this to make sure that our voices do not get drowned out. Sorry for that, Ben.
Oh, no, all good. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Hit subscribe here. We'll see you next time on Political Beatdown. Shout out to all the Beatdown Brigaders. We appreciate you.
Boom.